Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a training manager for Asda. I started my logistics journey back in 2017 at Asda Didcot. In 2022, I joined the Future team, which was the largest tech project that Asda had attempted to do whilst changing all of their warehouse systems.
Hi, my name is Beth. I'm a conversion department manager in Asda on the Future team. I joined Asda in Wakefield in 2018 as a warehouse operative, and I moved on to the Future team in 2023.
What is digital technology in logistics, and why is it important today?
Digital technology is a massive part of logistics, I think. Tech is in everything that we do. We work with it every day. We have multiple tech teams that all look after different parts of it. And without tech, our operation wouldn't run. It's moved on loads, from sort of picking on paper in warehouses to going onto headsets and things like that. So I think it is logistics right now.
What's been the big surprise that you've found since implementing Manhattan and seeing how the different tech teams work within our business?
I think for me the most surprising thing is the sheer amount of things that go on in the background that you never really know about. So I come from a background of being a picker, and you clock in the morning, you pick up your headset and you go picking cases. But for you to get to that point to be able to pick cases, there's so many things that have to happen in the background that have to go right. And if one thing sort of doesn't quite work, then it kind of has a massive impact on so many different people. And yeah, I think that's the most surprising, is how much actually goes into it in the background.
Yes, it's the same for me. So, as you know, I started and I was a warehouse operative as well.
Yeah.
And the pick just came from the box in the sky.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how many different systems work in the background, what the interfaces look like.
Yeah.
Even our loading functions, how that works, and the different systems that then needs to talk to, and how complicated it is.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I think
Completely blows my mind.
something that I find really interesting as well is, as we sort of migrate from Walmart interfaces into sort of the Asda interfaces, how many sort of hoops things have to go through, and how many times data is processed to be able to get one single case of beans to the store. It's really impressive.
Tell us about your journey in logistics so far. How did you first get involved in this sector? And how did your role evolve with the rise of digital technology?
So I started out at Asda in 2018 as a warehouse operative, picking cases in an ambient depot. So that was really good. And then from there, I sort of spent a little bit of time in different departments in the warehouse, shadowing managers and that kind of stuff. And then there was an advert for something called the Future team, which is all about implementing the new warehouse management system within Asda. So Asda have been migrating to new systems from Walmart to Manhattan. And that was something that I was really interested in. So I applied and was successful. And that is where sort of my role within tech kind of started within logistics. I'd never really worked with any sort of systems before that. I was not a clerical person, so I didn't work with the systems that we used previous. So it was all really brand new, and from there I've sort of networked and got to grips with the system and learned other systems, and expanded working with other teams, configuration and testing and all that kind of stuff.
That sounds like an awful lot of depots. How long did it take you to implement all those?
So we did 18 of them in 9 months, which is an industry first. It's really quite an aggressive sort of rollout, very quick, pace.
Fast pace. I think the last time we did it as a company, it took us 7 years.
Yeah, so it's definitely really impressive, and it's been really hard work, and it's had a multitude of different teams sort of helping and supporting and doing their bit. So yeah, it's been a journey. So what's your journey in logistics been like?
My journey started off very similar to yours. We're on the same cohort for UCAMB. Mm-hmm. When I got back to depot after completing that, I had an opportunity in transport. Went into transport knowing nothing about it, and absolutely loved it. Every day was different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You have this set amount of runs that need to go out. But due to the circumstances of that day, there's lots of more opportunities to sort of problem solve, and I really grasped that. And then, much like yourself, the adverts came out. I saw about the future program. Applied, was successful. Wanted to try something different though. So whereas you went for the conversion side of it, I wanted to get more involved in the training side of it. People have always been like a passion of mine. I like people. So I was successful as the training manager, and had no idea what I was letting myself in for. Had no training background whatsoever, other than a little bit of a insight or a hobby in sort of people's psychology and sort of how you can get people to learn. And the opportunity was just phenomenal. Took it with both hands. It started off with just looking at process flow documents and then just trying to use the technology and just sort of see how that fits and we can make it work, which is how our early process mapping sort of was. And then when it came to creating actual training materials and then rolling those training materials out, you'll know from when we first started training you back at Wakefield, what that started off as
it's
to
vastly
what we
different.
have now is absolutely incredible. You know, the technology that's sort of risen up alongside it, the different sort of systems we use, like Enable now, creating those simulations. You know, I couldn't have dreamed of getting involved with that sort of technology.
What does a typical day or week look like in your role? And I know this is quite a difficult question because no day really looks the same. So
that's a very complicated question. Let's try and break it down a bit. So our job role, as you know, we're national. We work up and down the country. So it always starts off with a lot of travelling. So we do travel the roads a lot. We sort of work as a intermediate between the tech teams and depot support, especially at the moment. So it's an awful lot of hearing the problems that depots are facing, working with the tech teams to find a solution. And then my side of it as a trainer is then tying the two together, creating the materials from that, and then redistributing that out to sites to resolve their issues.
I think like you said, we're very much sort of a bridge the gap sort of team. We have a lot of technical knowledge and we do a lot with the system, but also we kind of have to ensure that it works for our warehouses and what our processes are and how things run. So I would agree with that. And the travel is very extensive.
There's a lot of travel involved.
But the logistics sector is transforming with technology. Can you explain what kinds of digital systems you've worked with and how they are changing the way logistics operates? I know you've touched on it a little bit, that you've used systems for your training material and stuff, so do you want to expand on that, if you can?
I mean, so in terms of creating digital content, training materials, you've got Enable now, where it was a fantastic tool to be able to create transcript documents. You could create training simulations, which would also help validate the knowledge. There's been problems with that as well because it's very labour intensive. So if there's a lot of updates like there has been with our team, it can make policing that and maintaining it quite challenging. But within Asda itself, if you look at our planning team, the systems that we've brought in, Quintec, where it's able to plan a lot more efficiently than how we used to plan. Technology is used all the time, yard management.
And we obviously also have a big TU operation that relies upon our digital platforms to get parcels to customers. So, it's crazy how much technology we actually use.
A lot more than I thought we'd use when I joined the team.
Absolutely. And I think our role has enabled us to sort of, the sky's kind of the limit with the technology that we use and how much you can learn and what you can actually do with your career within technology and in logistics and in Asda.
So. Oh, I completely agree. When I came to a retailer, you don't think that we've got all these technology teams that you could join, testing teams. You know, you can go into any branch. Like, you could finish university, go to one of these businesses, and there is a job role for you where you can put your skills to the test.
100%. And I don't think a lot of people really even know that, like, ALS, as logistics, is even a thing. I know when I applied for my job, it was through Indeed, and I thought it was a store. I didn't actually know it was a distribution centre. So going from sort of that to where I'm at now, I never sort of, when I was driving to that first interview, I never sort of expected that this is where I would end up in, 5-6 years' time. It's kind of crazy. But I really love it, so. This is a good question. What challenges have you faced when implementing new digital solutions, and how did you overcome them?
It's all about engaging people. So a lot of the challenges that I've faced is when we've created these training programs to help train the depots, it's making sure that the content that we've created and the structure that we've built is being used in the manner that it's supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
that standards are being maintained.
Yeah.
Trying to sort of police that's quite challenging. As a training manager, I can't be in 18 sites at once. So it's all about engaging the correct teams. So it's making sure that we get the depots involved, that they're living and breathing this journey and working with us.
I think maybe one sort of thing that we've had to overcome is the fear of change. And like you said, getting people on this journey with us, because change is scary, but the world is changing to become more of a technical space. So I think getting people on board and explaining what is changing and why, so that they understand it and we're not just telling them that this is how it is, was really, really important. And I think obviously you as a training manager had a massive part of that. And as a conversion team, we delivered quite a lot of that, working sort of in the offices with the team that were running the depot and sort of coaching them through what had changed and stuff. So, yeah. I think another but like difficulty with the rollout is the pace that technology does change. If, like you mentioned earlier, if you think about the system that we had back in sort of 2023 when we first started rolling it out, is vastly different to the one that we've got now. And I think that's testament to us adapting and changing and doing what was needed rather than, sort of just dealing with what we had.
I think a lot of it's where we work as a community as well. Like, we have our community depots. We need to know what works for them, what makes their job easier.
Yeah,
we're trying to make things easier and more efficient, and working with them to find the solutions as well.
Yeah, definitely. In your opinion, what skills are necessary for young people to succeed in logistics today, particularly with the growing role of digital technology?
Honestly, I think the most important thing is an open mind. It's quite easy to adapt to new skills, and you can learn those new skills as long as you're sort of willing to embrace them. A positive attitude does help.
Yeah, that would have been what I would have said. I think if you have the right attitude towards it, then you can sort of achieve anything. And I also think the first step of getting young people into logistics is making them aware that it is there and it's a viable option for them. It was never something I really knew anything about.
I think social media probably helps.
But
with
that. I think
it's a lot more visible now than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
How do you see the role of digital technology continuing to evolve in logistics over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think there's massive scope for digital technology to sort of evolve and sort of encompass the logistics industry. I think when you look at where we've gone in this past sort of 10, 15, 20 years, in our warehouses we used to pick on paper, and that's gone from, getting orders on paper to moving on to a headset to, we now have wireless headsets. And I think your imagination is what can sort of develop things on, all it takes is an idea, and that can come to fruition with technology. I think it can it can do amazing things, and I think it's going to set the logistics industry off and sort of be unstoppable. What's
an example of new technology or system you're excited about that can make logistic operations more efficient or sustainable?
So I think it's really cool. We have AMR, which is basically robots in some of our depots. So we have little robots that are sort of in a compound, and they're basically programmed to pick up like parcels or cases and scan the barcode and go and distribute them and deposit them to sort of the area they're meant to go to. And I think that is so cool. It's unbelievable that we can just have, the amount of cases that a person could pick in a day gets processed within sort of a couple of hours. And I think it improves accuracy and productivity. And I just think it's really impressive that you can have something that does that. And obviously you still need people to sort of make sure they're operating properly and, problem solve and things like that. But yeah, I think it's really exciting. And we've only got it in a few depots at the minute, but we've seen it in different capacities in sort of a stockless environment, and we've seen it doing TU parcels and clothing and that kind of stuff. And I think it's just really impressive.
Why should young people consider a career in logistics with a focus on digital technology?
I think the logistics sector has so much to offer young people. There's so many avenues and options that you can explore, and you can really focus in on something that you're really particularly keen on, and you just are open to so many different things. I think you never kind of really know how much there is out there until you're there, and I think there's so many opportunities that you can just go down whatever avenue you're keen about and passionate about, and you can be really successful, and I think it's really rewarding as well.
Yeah, I agree. Technology touches us now in everyday life for everything that you do, and logistics, I feel, is a unexplored frontier.
Yeah.
And there's so much ground there, and you can really sort of carve your own adventure.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead, what do you hope to achieve in your role with digital technology and logistics?
That's a really good question. I don't really know. I think there's so many options out there. I think I need to spend a bit of time looking at what I actually want to do specifically. I really enjoy the networking side of the technology that we do and teaching other people better ways to do things and that kind of thing. So I think my role in technology would be something that's sort of people oriented as well. Yeah.
It's quite similar for me. I feel incredibly sort of honoured that I could be part of this journey with Asda in like the architecture phase and how we've implemented. I think now we've seen what we can accomplish, seeing how we can streamline that is where I'd like to be. To see what the operators see and how they feel, and how we can get the most out of the technology that we've been granted.
Yeah, kind of like an optimization sort of project. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. What would you say that your sort of highlight of the future project has been inside a workstation?
For me, it's been able to create the training programs that we did.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to Wakefield and Dartford, those cohorts of colleagues that we were training, being able to handpick what I wanted to teach and what I thought was important, with personal skills, business skills, as well as for technology and all the sort of practical skills, and then seeing those people develop and what they can accomplish has been incredibly humbling.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you think about the people on our team and how far they've come from when they first joined, being sort of really timid and really scared, and then really getting to grips with the technology and putting themselves out there, and it's
one of the things I love about being a trainer, and being a part of their story and the difference that I've been able to make in their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I love about it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think for me, one of my highlights was sort of running the Rochdale conversion, because Rochdale was the biggest CDC in the network, and that was quite daunting. So yeah, I think getting to grips with the sort of technology there as well, because that was the first depot that I went in that had a small store grid format. So that was a new sort of way of working, and having to understand the logic within the system and if it's working correctly and if there's something wrong and things like that. So that was really good.
How did that experience change you, and what would you do given that opportunity again? I
think it was a massive learning curve. It allowed me to sort of understand how to manage people differently. Yeah, how to explain things sort of in a way that a person would understand, because my technological understanding of something isn't necessarily the same as theirs. Being able to get them on the same sort of level where they understand the reasons why and what should happen and what is happening, I think is really important. So yeah, I don't think I would really change anything. I think hindsight's a wonderful thing. You know, I learned a lot through the things that didn't necessarily go to plan, and I think I learned them in the right way. There wasn't any sort of negative repercussions, but it was just a learning curve. And I think it's really important, and it's a good way to learn as well. So.